Good morning, people. Just wanted to make a quick video because a lot of people are coming into a wave of consciousness, waking up to a lot of different stuff. And I tell people all the time, there's different levels of consciousness. Uh, and what I mean by that is some people conscious about different things. What I find mostly in the conscious community is, you know, if you're not conscious about what they're conscious about, then you're a problem. You're part of the problem. And so this is uh my reasons or reason for basically leaving the conscious community. Well, I can't never say that I was fully in the conscious community because I always, I'm the type of person I take everything with a grain of salt and apply common sense to it. And if I can understand, if it makes sense, then I'll go more into it. But I never just jump in anything head first. So my background is a little bit different, or maybe like most of you. I come from the church, grew up raised in the church. My grandma was like the church secretary, so we always at the church, in the church. I mean, it was even to the point at one time where I was speaking in tongues in the church. Uh, wanting to get deep in the church like that. So it was 2010. It was a year after my grandma passed away. My grandma died in 2009. And up until then, I took her death hard, even though she had Alzheimer's for 10 years. At that point in my life, prior to me being introduced to the conscious community, I would take death really hard. Like I saw my grandma in the hospice, like passing away. And even still, when she died, it was like, Lord, no, don't take my grandma type thing. Um, but now I feel closer. When people pass away, I feel closer to them because I know how to connect with them spiritually, and I know that the body is dead, but the soul, the soul lives on, or the spirit lives on. So when I first got introduced in 2010, I I I was up for days. Like my brother, the first video my brother sent me was a video of Astro Quasi. He was doing a Kemet New tour, and he was in Egypt. All in the temples and the tombs, and he everything was like. And I was just blown away. And he started telling me, he started talking about different people, and the connection to the Bible. And so from him, I got turned on because again, I'm coming from the church way, so I got turned on a little differently. And from him, I went to Ray Hagins. Now, Ray Hagins used to be a preacher, and he used to do his lectures like a preacher, so I could relate to that because he's standing at the pulpit. He would have his Bible or have whatever and have the notes, and he would have a projector behind him, and it was like a teaching type thing, and you could see what this and this made sense. So that led me to my Bible and to my studying, in which I couldn't prove myself right, and I couldn't disprove them. Like I couldn't say that they were lying because I couldn't even prove what I was believing beyond the Bible. So that drew my interest, and I just went headstrong in it. And from that, I was introduced to this thing that everybody know called the Illuminati. So when I got introduced to that, it was all in the same time. So when I got turned on to that, I remember specifically it was Professor Griff and Yash Kara, I think his name is. And also there's a guy by the YouTube channel named Black Child. I don't know how I got on that because at this point I'm I'm just looking at stuff on the internet. I'm just digging, and sometimes the internet gets dark. When you are in a stage of searching and really looking for stuff and stuff that's not so common, you tend to stumble across some shit that you be like, whoa, what I done got myself into? Like, shit, is the government about to pull up at my house? Like, that type of stuff. And I got to that type of stuff, and I mean, shit, I was hearing helicopters and shit. I was like, man, they got my phone tag. You know, now I'm paranoid because I done found some shit on YouTube that I ain't think I was supposed to find. Like, but so back to, so I'm watching these guys or whatever. So I'm trying to compare notes. I'm trying to research. During that research, also, I came across Sarah Suit and Seti. And Seti came out at me on some. This is the first video that I watched. The Seti was "The Black Woman Is God," and I mean, straight out the gate, he was on some, you know, the crack of Jesus and ain't no Jesus and all this, and I was like, whoa, this nigga the devil. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still on, you know, I ain't all the way there. And that's why I think the compassion and the sympathy lack in the conscious community, because, you know, a lot of these guys never had a spiritual backing, never had, you know, any church related history. So, you know, for them, it's like, well, shit, I ain't never believed in the shit anyway, so now I'm really going hard on it. And I always used to ask my friends, or not even my friends, like my social media friends. Sometimes I would see harsh, you know, religious stuff, you know, that they putting out, and I would say, you know, what's the point right now? Like, are we trying to reach people, or are we trying to teach people, or are we trying to push people away? You know, and sometimes with reaching people, you know, you got to be careful how you teach the people. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, had I saw Sarah Suit Seti from the beginning, I never would have made it this deep into the conscious community. Because right out the gate, I'm offended. And that's the thing about the conscious community. It's like, it's a fuck your feelings community. Whatever, if you're not agreeing with what we doing here, if you're not doing this, then you're a victim of white supremacy, but we don't want you. And so it's like a you know, if you like white men or white women, you know, you're a problem. We don't want you in our community. Although you may be a victim of white supremacy. You know, it might be the white man's fault why you like, you know, they children or whatever. But at the end of the day, we don't want you either, because you know, you don't like our queens and shit. And I'm gonna get to that word in a minute. You know, if you gay or lesbian, we don't want you. Although you may be a victim of white supremacy, ain't no telling. You know, they could have gave you some medicine when you was younger. It could be something they spreading in the air. I've even heard some shit about it could have been, you know, something was in the corn that was making people gay. I don't know, you know. But at the end of the day, nobody really know the fact about it, and but it don't matter because we don't want you either in the conscious community, because, you know, you're gay and we don't want that around our kids. You know, if you out here, if you still going to church, we definitely, you know, we about to get on your honky guard in a minute. We ain't, you know, we don't want you over here either. Shit, if you know, if you still eating pork and on that other shit with the food, like, we ain't, you know what I'm saying, like, shit, we ain't trying to fuck with you in the conscious community, because you ain't, you know, you ain't for what we for. So I'm saying all of this to say, like, there's always, like, with them, there's always a reason, but there's no solution to it. It's just fuck it. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I kept reaching, kept looking, kept studying. You know, I came across some great teachings. I came across the Dr. Benz. I came across the Malachi Yorks. I came across the Steve Coakley's, you know, and again, that's a different type of level of consciousness. Now, Steve Coakley woke me up to this whole Illuminati type thing. Him, John Todd, Bill Cooper, they woke me up to that. But then, you know, Steve Coakley, he gave me names. He gave me, you know, the information about the Boule. He gave me, you know, the secret societies. And he dropped the names. He dropped the facts. He dropped where we can find them at. You know, and his spirit still live on strong. I see him resurrecting slowly people are going back to get that old Steve Coakley knowledge, which is very, very valuable. Because again, like I said, with Steve Coakley, you'll find names. You'll find what's the guy name? Emmanuel, the guy in Chicago that's friends with Obama. Steve Coakley was talking about him in the 90s. Ryan something Emmanuel, I can't think of his name right now, but I mean, people going back to get this knowledge. All right, so I'm coming into terms with this. So now I'm mad. I ain't celebrating Christmas. I ain't celebrating Thanksgiving. I don't even know how to say good morning or good night no more. I'm learning. I feel like I'm in the gang. I gotta learn different terminology. I gotta, at the same time I'm an outsider because I'm different, but I got this knowledge to a T. You know what I'm saying? All the hidden colors, I'm on them. The Tyreeks come along, but before that, like I'm saying, between 2010 and 2012, I was on I'm on the Bobby Hemmett, and Bobby Hemmett, again, that's a different level of conscience. Now he talking about the occult, he talking about magic, he talking about what people might say is voodoo. Then and then you got the metaphysics part, and these are different aspects, but eventually they all tie in to each other. So back to the conscious community, I never really grew from the past with that. I was always chasing Africa. And it's like, then I started looking, I'm like, okay, these guys that's pushing me towards Africa, they in New York, in Atlanta, why they ain't in Africa? Why they ain't going back or been sending people back or been getting things in order? Why we don't, why y'all ain't started, building some apartments and stuff over there for people to move, have transition to, the community funding y'all for lectures to come in, for us to come, we paying y'all to come and hear y'all talk. There's no guideline, there's no structure, no movement. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you used to go to a Steve Coakley event, he'll have strategy plans like, all right, so, we need to set something up. If the phone rang one time and then hang up, then that's what we need to do. If, we know we gonna shut all the red lights, that type of shit. We don't have that, and it's always trying to prove somebody else's background and belief wrong. And it's always a blame type thing, like, it's these people's fault, it's these people's fault, we the victims, it's these people's fault, it's these people's fault. And I get that, when you go back sometimes a little bit in history. I get that. But what I don't get is, it's 2019. What are we going to do now? Like, we could keep talking about, what they did to Marcus Garvey, what they did to this person, and what they did to the black community, then what they did in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 1920s. We can talk about that all day. And we feel some type of way at them for doing that, whoever them is, because them dead. So, are we talking about the entity of them? All right, we can be mad at them. But how is that helping us? Meanwhile, only thing the conscious community did for me was make me angry as fuck, not trust nobody, and not want to work for nobody. But at the same time, I'm so mad and so in my head that I ain't even trying to really hustle on my own either. Because some kind of way I still feel like it's contributing to the white man. So it had me in a box. And then out of all of that, it took my spirituality away. Now I know in the conscious community, a lot of times people want to say they spiritual and stuff. And now this is another problem that I have. Now, because I did come from a Christian background, now I don't feel myself to be Christian, and I definitely have my disagreements, but I definitely know that there is a creator God. There is a most high God. When you're teaching ignorant people, and when I say ignorant, I'm not being disrespectful ignorant. I'm talking about people who don't understand. When you teach ignorant people that there are gods and goddess, how then are you teaching spirituality? For me, I can look at that and say, okay, black woman God, or if the black man is God, or whoever, as long as you black and you God, you can be God in yourself. Now, for me, now that shit don't have a color on it. Hell, it was a white man that taught me how to that taught me the law of manifestations and the law, affirmations and shit. And this nigga is living better than any conscious nigga I know. Or what I would say, black conscious nigga I know. So if I'm looking at that and I'm going around and I'm telling people that they God, and they totally remove the fact that you're not the God, you're not the creator God. You have the power to manifest within yourself. You are the God of yourself. You are the master of your own abilities. If you think it, you can create it. If you see it, you can achieve it. Whatever you want to say. This is all law of manifestation type stuff. So you are God. Yourself is your universe. You are God of yourself. And yourself can manifest your reality. So although you don't necessarily have control over anybody else, you control your own self and your own destiny, which means that the path that you create, people will align within it. But you still gotta give praise and attributions to the Most High. You can't create shit. You got people out here thinking that they God and goddesses because they done heard some black people saying this shit. They ain't got a pot to piss in. Then you got people out here thinking they kings and queens on some Africa shit. But everybody in Africa not kings and queens. Africa did have slaves too. So you got people out here living foul as fuck, and you telling them they kings and queens because they're black. Ain't nothing about you godly. Nothing about you says queen. All this shit is in yourself. But the black community don't teach you that. They don't talk about that. They just want you to think because you black. And this is another thing. We're not all the same. And that is why the country's community is failing on evolving people. We are the most reactive species. We the most reactive fucking people. We're never proactive. We always gotta react to something. We just sitting around waiting till some shit jump off, then we gotta react to it. We ain't never planning. We still talking about shit that happened before we was born. Where is the evolution? Where's the elevation in that shit? Hell, the country's community talk about this and that. These niggas ain't put no money together to make us no schools or no hospitals and shit. They ain't been nowhere near close to the Black Panther Party, and we way more advanced in technology and the way we could move now. So I found myself really just sitting here looking at these niggas, and I'm waiting on the movement. And it took me to get older to really listen to Gil Scott to know that when he said the revolution won't be televised, is that it's a mental change. It's a mental change. Ain't nobody gonna be really out here, by the time everybody really wake up, like, you will see, like, one day I really just sat back and looked up and I'm like, man, this shit ain't what I thought it was. I'm talking about the world. See, Black people, we done got in this way where we still brainwashed and thinking that we are the minority and that white people control this fucking world. But what they've been secretly doing is they've been creating this race war, this divide and conquer thing, because I'm going to just give you an example. If you go to a black comedy show, black people can say cracker, shit, white honky, can tell any white joke they want to, and it's okay. Let a white person do some stand-up comedy and say something about a nigga. All they shit getting to it. You see what I'm saying? So we out here crying like, we got people on welfare because of the white man. That's a lie. They on welfare because their grandma was on welfare. Now we done turn welfare into a generational thing. Like, for me, it's all about balance. We don't have nothing set up to teach people. If you're going to be on the system, you're going to use it. Use it to level up. You don't use it to stay there. So now we want to blame white people from fucking Columbus days about why our black sisters or people of color are still in the ghetto. Yo, rappers and shit go to the strip club throwing bands. I'm talking about thousands of dollars. Why they ain't built no apartments and no shit like that and let low income people come stay over there? Why they ain't built no little factory and got some people working somewhere? Rick Ross got all his money on. You got some chicken stores. That's all. That's the only thing we can do, or is that the only thing we're allowed to do? Where our fucking import and export manufacturers? Why y'all niggas on that I got the keys video? All them niggas could have put up $5 million a piece and started some type of business importing and exporting on behalf of us. Now, another problem with the country's community with the debating is you're trying to make us all the same. Just because we got the same skin tone, don't make us the same. So now you find yourself in debates with Hebrew Israelites, with the Moors, with the Aboriginals, with these people. People can be who they are. They might be that. We not all the same. You want to confine every person of color to Africa, one continent. Now, according to today, we have 7 continents. So you mean to tell me black people are only from one continent? Meanwhile, white people from all the other ones? How? That should be a slap in your own face. How you preaching out this pro-black and we gods and we kings and we queens, but we only from Africa? How? So when people say that they are natives to America or they aboriginals, how you gonna argue with them? They could be. And this is another thing. If we have been all of that, how can we not be all of that? Dr. Ivan Van Sertima said they came before Columbus, and in that he was talking about just the people navigating to all the different parts of the world, and they were actually in America before Columbus came. Now you got aboriginals. Some black people are waking up to the aboriginal movement and remembering the stories that their grandparents told them about them being Indian or having some Native American in them. Now, I'm from South Carolina. My grandma definitely told me that her grandmother was a Cherokee Indian. A full Cherokee Indian. And I mean, if you see me in the light, if you see my mom or my grandmama, they look, I don't know, copper colorish. And they have that hair texture. Then you have some people in the conscious community who will argue about the texture and the features of certain black people and how it proves them to be African. They can all be true. I've really seen people like Jabari and Sarnetta debating Phoenix Moon one day because she had her ancestry shit up and was showing her lineage, and people was really saying like, well, how we know that's your grandma? Well, how you know that's your grandma? Did you do a DNA test? Man, who the fuck do a DNA test to prove somebody their grandma unless you ain't been knowing her? If you grew up with your mama and your daddy and you grew up knowing that this person over here is your grandma or your granddaddy, who gonna take a DNA test unless somebody done told you was adopted or something and you trying to prove something? So then you start making yourself look stupid trying to debate people who know who they are, because you're trying to put all of us in one box. And that is my problem with the conscious community. While trying to say you're trying to help us free our mind, you really are boxing us in. And we can't see beyond Africa. And now you got people out here arguing with other people about who they are and have not even did it. And then we talk about this DNA. I can go on and on and on, but all I'm going to say is this. We really need to get our shit together. We really need to get our shit together. And, you know, we blast Donald Trump, yet we don't give no solid backing on what we should be doing as a people. It's always what not to do. Okay, well, what the fuck do we supposed to be doing right now? So now you got a lot of people that's fucking with Trump. And it just depends on what crowd you in. You got a crowd over here that say fuck Trump. You got a crowd over here that say, man, I'm fucking with Trump. Then you got the conscious community that, hell, really just leave you more confused. Because there's never a solution. It's always just what has happened. It's always just, you know, building your anger and shit up and making you mad at people and shit that you have no control over that happened then. But there's never a game plan on what to do from here. So that's where we come in at. So from here on out, it's time to make a game plan. And if you ain't no more of this, we voting Democrat because we black, or we voting Republican because we policy over party. And I know some people say, you know, the party make the policy, but we know that that's not always true. We voted for people who told us they was gonna do one thing and done the opposite. Yet we don't hold them accountable. Yet in the conscious community, we so busy focusing on people being gay or people sleeping with, you know, white. It's always about who you're intimate with, not about, you know, what you're trying to do. So the conscious community to me is too emotional when it comes to things that don't matter. But things that do matter, we're silent on them, or we're turning the other cheek to it. We don't address men who beating their wives. We don't address men who cheating on their wives. That's okay, because it's the man doing it. So in the same sense, when you saying the black woman is God in the conscious community, you turn around and saying, but fuck her though. So, like, subscribe, comment. Let's build on this. I'm going to be dropping videos. I'm going to be having guests. We're going to get down to the bottom of this, and we're going to see if we can bridge the gaps, because we all could be right. We could be, you know, from Africa, and we could be the Aboriginals. We could have very well started in Africa long time ago. Like Dr. Van Santima said, we migrated around and settled in different places. And hell, we could be the Aboriginals of every damn well. Why is that impossible to believe? But you want to make people believe they God, but you don't want to tell them that, you know, they the original people of pretty much all the land. But you want to argue with somebody and make them be confined to Africa. Stop it.